Welcome to the Flower Lounge, a place for conversations with wildly creative people and a little plant-loving wisdom to help you experience life in full bloom. I'm Katie Hess, flower alchemist and founder of LOTUSWEI, and I believe in a world where we're all living at our personal edge. Welcome to the Flower Lounge. This is a very fun episode. We are coming to you live in the moment right now. We are coming to you from Costa Rica, inside a lotus bell tent in the rainforest, next to a river. If you hear some background noise, it's probably the rushing river. It rained really hard today. Taylor and I are on a flower essence collection trip, and so we thought we'd share with you some fun experiences and what it's like to be out in these wacky, weird places collecting flowers. So, let me just start by asking Taylor, because she's right next to me. What do you tell people when your friends are asking you what you do and you go on trips and you travel around the world collecting crazy flowers? How do you explain that, and what's it like?
That's a really hard question. Well, most of them know that I take the photos and the videos and post on the Insta stories, so they know I do that, but then they just think, so you just take a bunch of flower photos and videos, but you get to travel to all these crazy cool places. But it's obviously a lot more than that, and they can, if they have tried the product then, or a flower essence, then they have a sense of actually what we're capturing. But then I just go on to explain what you're actually doing and what you're capturing, and try to, with words, explain all the crazy magical experiences that happen while we're there. And it's always different.
Yeah, so every place is such a different vibe, such a different feel to it. I remember looking one sort of holiday time, paging through my iPad. For some reason I was on Airbnb and I saw these photographs of Iceland and I was like, oh my god, I need to go to Iceland. It was like almost on a whim. And lately that's how a lot of the destinations have been happening, right? It's like almost on a whim. It's like something bubbles up to the surface, and then we just follow that golden thread, as Stephen Herod-Buner would say. And we've ended up in some pretty amazing places, everywhere from Iceland to Costa Rica, British Columbia, throughout, which was actually surprisingly super amazing, the plains in the central part of the United States, from Minnesota to South Dakota to Wyoming, and then in crazy tropical Florida areas. Am I forgetting anywhere?
You said Florida, right?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about how sometimes animals help us find the flowers? Because I think that's just sort of a crazy... I mean, I think I used to tell this story to people in trainings about the very first flower essence collection trip in British Columbia, and how all of these animals, from bears to snakes to butterflies and things, came out to help me find what people most needed today. But you could just say that I'm just a crazy person. But you've witnessed it, right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe talk about some of the things you've seen.
Yeah, well, the most recent one would be in Costa Rica at one of the cloud forest reserves, and we had just entered the reserve, and this hummingbird just zoomed past us. Like, almost, I think we both screamed because it was so,
It was
close to us.
Like right in front of our face.
Yeah. And so it flew by us and then hit a flower. It hit the actual flower. And so, of course, our eyes just go straight to where it hit, and we ended up finding this crazy flower that people don't even, there's no name for it. And you ask locals what the name of the flower is, or, hey, can you help us identify this? And they have no clue.
There's no common name. Yeah, and there's there's 2 Latin names for it because there's some confusion around it and changes, but there are no common names for it. And it only grows in that one reserve, in that one place, and then a teeny tiny little area in Colombia, in the world. That's it.
Yeah. And the hummingbird showed us. Like, we would have never seen the flower, because it was facing outside of the trail, so, like, if people were just walking by on the trail, you would never see it. It was so crazy. And then also in Costa Rica, we went on this, like, almost straight uphill hike. And of course, you know, like 5 minutes into it, we're like, okay, how much longer are we going to go? You know, because you're just hiking uphill. It's muddy. It's sprinkling. We're slipping, falling. And this big, bright blue. What was the name of it?
It's a blue morphos butterfly.
Butterfly. Like the size of your hand. Like huge. Would just flutter by, keep going up the hill, and then it'd go away, and then we'd, you know, keep going, and then we'd see it again. And we ended up seeing that butterfly like 5 times, and we found 3
orchids.
Yeah, orchids.
Orchids. Yeah.
On that hike.
I know it may sound bizarre to people, but it literally felt like it was either encouraging us or showing us the way to go, or, you know, we'd be like, okay, maybe we go back down, and then suddenly we see this crazy fluorescent indigo butterfly again, and then it's like it encouraged us to keep going, right?
Yeah, totally.
There were the spiders for the Selfhealed Flower in Iceland.
Yeah.
The howler monkey for the orchid in Costa Rica, the other orchid.
Yeah. Tell the self-heal story. I love that one.
Oh, yeah, that was, jeez, we went to a hot spring that looked amazing and beautiful from the photos. It just looked stunning, and we got there and we were like, oh, crap, full of tourists. Oh, no. Oh, no. And then we just got curious about what might be like over yonder, and we kept walking and looking and peeking, and we found that there was this secret hot springs, like beyond where all the tourists were. Crazy, beautiful. And so we soaked in the hot springs for a while, and then I started wandering around this hillside looking for flowers, and walked up the hill, got super dizzy, had to sit down, and it wasn't like it was the heat from the hot spring, it was just this really weird wave of sort of nausea, dizziness. So I sat down, and as I was sitting down, I had my hands touching the ground to sort of like ground myself. And then I looked off in the distance and I saw this flower called Selfheal for helping you activate your own body's self-healing capabilities. And there were like 1 trillion spiders on that hill.
Big spiders.
Huge
too.
spiders with long legs, but they looked so friendly. They were like, they weren't creepy spiders. They were like, kind of like daddy long legs a little bit.
Yeah.
Like super friendly looking and like lanky and cute.
Mm-hmm.
There was the heron that led us to this crazy rare orchid in Minnesota, and then the cicadas.
Yeah, that was crazy. So, this is actually one of my favorite collection stories. This was at Cascade Falls, which is a warm spring in South Dakota, and this was one of the flowers that you were just like, we have to find this. And so, you know, there's a difference. Some of the times we go and we have this flower in mind and we feel like orchid or flower hunters, and other times the flowers just kind of show us, hey, pick me. But this one, there's a stream orchid, and we jump in the water, we swim, we float, and you went off and found, like, off into this kind of creepy, murky little area of the warm spring that no one would go, just because it didn't seem like the best place. And right when we got to the spring, there's warning signs for rattlesnakes, so you just kind of want to be careful where you're going. And then you come back and you say you found it, and there was no place to get to the flower unless you went into the water. So we grabbed like the cameras and are sludging through this water, and if you stood in one place for too long, your foot would sink like a foot, and it would take you like, what, 20 seconds to like pull it out, and it's like thick black mud.
Right.
Crazy.
Right.
And so, you know, we collected it, and you were sitting with it, and you sat under the tree, and...
like meditating to try to figure out what the flower was for.
Yeah. And we're swimming and taking photos, and all of a sudden, like, at this point, there was a few people at the warm spring while we were, right when we got there, but at this point, people had left, so it was just us. And the cicadas started going crazy for what felt like 20 minutes, just singing so loud.
Cacophony.
I had never heard cicadas go that loud before.
You're like deafening, like
buzzing. You could feel like the ground vibrating.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wild.
Yeah, and it was just like, I mean, I'm sure the cicadas had something to do, you know, we're telling you what the flower was for, but it was also confirmation that you found it, and like the world needs this. Like, you did it. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, we did it. Yeah, we have another really cool story too when we were in Minnesota about getting a confirmation from nature, but it wasn't through animals, it was through the sky actually, because we were traveling throughout the country on the Thunder Moon Flowerlounge tour. We called it the Thunder Moon. And we were looking for this extremely rare orchid. And it could have been, I mean, we could have looked for days and days and days and days and miles and miles and miles and just tromped through like just acres and acres and acres of space. And, you know, I mean, I chalk it up to the fact that like weeks ahead of time I was putting out there like, we're coming, help me find you. Swiftly, people need you. And I mean, seriously, you guys, this story is so precious. So we veer off in this one particular area of the plains of the southern part of Minnesota, and this orchid is so rare that not even Minnesotans don't even know about it. It's not like the lady slipper or, you know, something that Midwesterners are familiar with. It's so rare that they've never even heard of it before. And it's extremely beautiful. It's white, and it's really gorgeous. And so we arrived, and we were like following this heron because we thought it might be the water. And then we, you know, tuned in and like touched the ground and did some recordings of the bugs and like really tried to tune into the area, and then walked around for a while. And then we finally saw it. I saw it. We were actually driving, right? Stop the car! I saw it off in the distance. So bizarre. And so we hop out of the car, Taylor and I run to the flower, and it's like the moment we were just sort of like staring at the flower, like, what? I can't believe we found this. This is insane. We look around, the sky is blue and apricot and pink and orange, the sun is setting. There's no clouds in the sky except for this, you know, tiny little thing above us. We're staring at the flower in awe, and this tiny little cloud above us rumbles with thunder right over the top of our heads, like being welcomed, like being seen, like being acknowledged, being greeted.
Mm-hmm.
And then our jaws just totally dropped. We were just it was crazy.
Yeah. And, yeah, like, is this really happening?
Is this really real? This is so surreal, right?
Yeah, we just, like, look at each other in disbelief and awe.
Disbelief. Yeah.
How can this be?
But you feel it in your bones. You feel it in your core. It's like the earth, the sky, the elements, the place, the surroundings, the protectors, whatever it is, are just, like, swooping in as a confirmation. And then it rained the most beautiful, soft, like not the kind where you want to run and take cover, just really gentle, soft drops for all of like 5 minutes from this one tiny little cloud. And then the rain stopped, and it was nighttime, so we said, okay, we'll come back in the morning to make the flower essence when we have sunlight. And so we took a walk, and we were listening to the insects and like mesmerized by the fireflies, right?
Yeah.
And so we sat for a while, and we turned on the recorder to record the sounds. And then we turned, and off in the distance we saw the full moon rising, and it was red. It was like orange blood red.
And I had never seen a moon that color before. Ever.
It was crazy. Stunning.
And then lightning. There was lightning too.
That's right, that's
off
right.
In the distance.
Off in the distance, lightning and thunder.
Yeah. And we were on the Thunder Moon tour.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
And then we like slept in a teepee that night. We're also sleeping in a teepee tonight. Some of the crazy places we've ended up. Yeah, so like you mentioned hunting. You know, some of these orchids I've just been obsessed with, like the Iceland orchids, the Minnesota, South Dakota, just being completely obsessed and then wanting to find them versus letting something find us. What's your favorite, like, letting something find us experience?
So when we were in Iceland, we were literally in the middle of the country, out in the middle of nowhere. We'd been driving on this dirt road for like 3 to 5 hours, and you know, dodging potholes that we love to do. And so while we were there, the sun was up for 22 hours of the day, so there wasn't much nighttime. There was never full darkness, so it.
Yeah, at night it was like a perpetual sunset.
Yeah, amazing. So we're driving. It's probably, what time do you think it was?
Afternoon?
Like afternoon?
Nighttime?
Yeah, I would say like 7 o'clock, 7 p.m.
Oh, right. I lost all track of time there because it was really quite late until after midnight.
You couldn't keep track of time. We're driving down this road, and everything's just black. It's desolate. It's beautiful. You see, like, there was rainbows in the sky.
That's right. So many rainbows.
You see glaciers off in the distance, like mountain ranges that are like the most beautiful green, but then like black too. And
there was, do you remember, so like a lot of the places you go in Iceland, what struck me was how pristine it was, and you felt like you were in a movie because it was you and the sheep, and like no human beings for miles.
Yeah.
But what was amazing about this place is there was no vegetation, so there wasn't even sheep. There weren't even sheep in this place because there was no plant life.
Yeah, it was just like black
rock.
Lava soil. Yeah, amazing. So we're driving and we see this luminous, bright, neon green patch of moss on the side of the road. And so we like quickly pull over the car, we get out, and we were like kids, like freaking out at what we were seeing. There were, on top of the moss, there were perfect little water droplets that sat on top of the moss that you could just scoop up and drink. And it looked like it was lit up, like that patch of moss. And then you didn't see any moss like that anywhere else in the country.
No, we didn't, no.
And that's probably my favorite, like, just, it found us, it lit up for us and was like, pick me, I'm here. It's so amazing.
And that was just such an effortless collection too, because the water was just like steeped in the little pockets of the moss all day in the light. And we didn't have to do anything. It was literally just collect the glacier water that's been steeped in it all day already. It was already, in essence, ready to roll.
Yeah.
So effortless. trying to think if I have a favorite flower finding us story. I mean, I really liked when we were, I don't know if this counts, but finding the spider orchid. There was this, it almost looked like an animal pathway off into the I don't know what it's called, it wasn't rainforest, but like jungle. It was more jungly there.
Yeah.
And so it looked like this opening where animals came through, and I was somehow intrigued by that. I think, it's just being in Costa Rica and like hearing about all the animals from anteaters to jaguars, and so I was curious what kind of creatures might be going along that path or that trail, and so I got closer to it. And then there was this big, beautiful vines across, like almost like a doorway, and it almost felt like Mother Nature was like, this is a door to another world. Do you want to go in or not? And there was a choice. And of course, I wanted to go in, so I lifted the vines and opened the door and went in. And it was like a whole other world inside that jungle. Because it was like sunny, and we're at the trail where we were walking, but inside the jungle was like, I don't know, it was strange. It was like the temperature dropped.
Yeah.
And it was really cold and quiet, and you could hear a pin drop. It was really odd.
Yeah.
And then like right there, inside that,
like eye level.
metaphorical doorway, at eye level, was the craziest looking green spider orchid, just in all its regalia, growing right off the tree. Crazy.
Yeah.
Really nuts. It's almost like it calls to you.
Yeah.
If you're just at ease, relaxed, and paying attention.
Yeah.
And open.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that sounds bizarre to some people. Sometimes people ask us if we have any rituals or things that we do, and I mean, we always make offerings to the plant, whether it's through incense or water offerings or smoke offerings. Tuning in, touching the ground, listening to the surroundings. And then there's sort of like the more logistical things that we do.
Yeah, like recently we've been, right when we get off the plane, we'll gather our luggage, and then first stop is to grab some alcohol.
Duty-free shops are great. For making essences.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And then we always, of course, take photos, videos, audio recordings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right now the insects are starting to sing. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. So what's your favorite collection story, or what's been like a really another really magical time that people might not know about? Or like, we could talk about crazy weird times.
Yeah, let's do
I mean,
that.
it's not all like fun and games and butterflies, right?
Yeah, I mean, during actually that collection of the spider orchid that you just talked about.
Ooh, that's right. Now
This
I know what
was,
you're gonna talk about.
yeah, this is really crazy. So, we were pretty high up on that trail, and I think either my battery died on the camera or the SD card was full, so I had to walk back and just to the car, which at that point we had made our way down. So I was gone for maybe 8 minutes. And I came back and you were like, oh my gosh, you were super scared. And I'm like, no, we're good. It's like right there. The trail ends and there's, people, it's fine. And so I'm taking photos and you're sitting there with the flowers and...
Yeah, I was freaking out.
Yeah. Like...
Heavily freaking out.
Yeah. Like, going to have a heart attack freaking out. It was crazy. And then today we were looking at this orchid, and Costa Rica, we've heard some really crazy snake stories. Like, one of them, I don't think we're in the area right now. I hope not.
But let's go back to the first time.
Okay.
Because that wasn't about snake or animals. There was something else. Like, in the end, you felt totally comfortable there, right?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, to me, it wasn't, if you felt comfortable and I didn't, that was more of an indication of, like, the imbalanced state of the flower.
Yeah.
Like, what the flower can bring to you, what the flower essence can bring to you, and what the imbalanced state is. So I was feeling that really acutely.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like, I thought I was being watched. I thought, by people, by animals, but I thought I was very much in danger.
Yeah, and there's been multiple times when we were in Costa Rica that
we were
both,
in danger.
Yeah, or that we both felt that way, and there were no flowers that we were collecting.
Right.
And so that was very intense, because you looked at me and you're like, are you scared? Are you feeling this around? I'm like, I'm good, but I think it's time to go.
I have to get out of here. But yeah, we do kind of, lately we've been subjecting ourselves to interesting situations, like the snakes.
Yeah. One story that I can't get out of my head that we heard was, there's one snake that you particularly have to be scared of in Costa Rica that chases you and jumps up and bites your face. And so today, we pulled off the side of the road, we're like walking through the jungle, and I think I stepped on a stick that then flipped up and hit my back, and I screamed. I was freaking out, and my heart didn't stop beating for like a really long time, or like really fast. My heart rate really jumped up, because I was convinced it was a snake that jumped up and bit me. But even not only here, not only do you have to be scared of like snakes on the ground, but then you're also looking up in the trees.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're also trying to look for crazy flowers, so there's a lot going on.
I mean, like when we were at that one Hot Springs River near the volcano lake.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because it was like, your eyes are looking down at the ground. Take a step. Wait. Oh no, that's tree roots. Okay. Take a step. Wait. Look up. Look up for snakes in the trees. Oh no. And then look down. Take another step. Like, it was just
Are there any flowers? No.
And then that waiter told us that the snakes could go in the water too. And I don't know, maybe this is all an exaggeration. And in the end, I just have become more comfortable thinking, they don't really want to be around humans, and snakes don't have any bad intentions.
Yeah.
So it's probably rare that we would see them. But we just have gotten smart with taking a stick, because we watched Tonio with his machete, and he would just knock on the trees and the ground and just let everybody know we're coming through. So
yeah. And one of the snakes even, like, I think at that hot spring river, right, he said that one of the snakes there causes necrosis.
The terciopelo, the velvet terciopelo. Yeah, it's a brown snake.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, it's a snake, and if it bites you, it's venomous, but, it necrosis. That's pretty serious.
Yeah, we talked to a woman, and we were like, so what do you do about children here that want to just go, like, romping around and playing and stuff? And she said, oh, yeah. You have to really watch them carefully, because you don't want them to either go to where the dry leaves are, or the tall grasses, or I mean, it must be a trip to look after toddlers.
Yeah.
When you're outside here.
Rubber boots.
And then we had that really crazy, creepy time. I mean, so much of what goes into making flower essences is state of mind, and really being aware, being calm, being open. And capturing what can't be seen. So there was that one time where I just didn't even feel like making flower essences. That was kind of we should just get into the dirt here. We've talked about the flowers and the magic. We should talk about the dirt of these collection trips.
Yeah.
Or bugs.
Bugs. Yeah, there's this one hike, which the hike was to this hot spring river, so it was amazing.
And this is what you're talking about, Iceland?
Yeah, in Iceland. And I think I had to walk with like a scarf around my mouth and nose and ears because the bugs were just going in anything that they could. And but for the flowers, we're going for the flowers.
You were eating bugs.
Yeah.
Breathing bugs.
And one of another Costa Rica flower, we're hiking up this hill and we hear roaring. And I'm not sure what it was. We just keep going towards the roaring. But, I mean, it sounds like a lion, but it ended up being a howler monkey, so, you know, they're probably all small and cute, but that was still pretty scary, yeah.
But that was our call to the flower.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the dirt is like part of some more dirt is like we end up driving long hours at night typically because we want, you know, the maximum sunlight hours for making flower essences, and so we end up driving a lot at night, which can be a little crazy.
Especially when you don't know where you're going, but
Costa Rica's the worst because like GPS doesn't work and
there's no signs.
The signs are really bad, and there's drop-offs. What do you call them? Derrumbes.
Like the road washes out. Yeah.
And potholes
that you can't see at night.
And then we had that one really creepy. Like we were driving to this place, and it was night. We were driving for like 4 hours. Right at 4 hours.
Yeah.
It just kind of took forever, and it was actually a beautiful drive. It was incredible, stunning, because the frogs were singing so loudly, and so many different types of frogs and bugs and cicadas, and so we'd stop every now and then, and no one else was driving on the road. No. And we would just turn off the lights, turn off the engine, pop out the recorder, and get some
sound bites.
Frog song, choirs songs. Until this one time that we stopped, Taylor had the recorder, the car went off, windows rolled down.
And within like 5 seconds, we both heard footsteps walking
toward us.
Towards the, window.
It was like something was walking towards my open window.
Yeah, and if it was an animal, it would have been 4-legged, but this sounded like 2 feet. And we both heard it, is the crazy thing. And we both freaked out at the same time. Like, I, struggled to turn on the car, turn on the lights, turn off the recorder, roll up the window, put it in, it was so scary.
And then we ended up staying at this place that was out in the middle of nowhere, and no one knew where we were, and
no service,
and we just sort of, it was really, it's like almost like I don't even want to talk about it because it was a little bit freaky and unsafe, and
we heard something on our porch that night,
like
walking.
Yeah, and it occurred to me that, it's amazing to be out in the middle of nowhere collecting flowers, and you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So we ended up the next morning. I just didn't feel interested in collecting flowers at all, and so we listened to that, and we ended up leaving that place early, actually immediately, but way earlier than planned. Because everything is energy. Everything is it's the energetics of the place that go into the essences, and we weren't going to share any of that. Sometimes we have weird food situations, too.
Yeah.
Because of working all day, collecting flowers.
Yeah, and, like, time doesn't even exist when we're hiking and finding these amazing flowers and taking photos and sitting with it. And then the sun starts to go down, and we're in these places where we don't know where the good restaurants are or what time.
Or the sun doesn't go down like in Iceland.
Yeah.
And we'd be done at like midnight, and then we'd be
No
totally
place is open. Yeah.
starvation.
And we can't function, so we can't navigate. We can't, like, make a decision on where we want to go. Or when we do get to a restaurant, we can't figure out what we want to eat.
Or we end up, like, surviving on chocolate, trail mix, skyr, cheese. Ugh.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of maxed out on dairy in Iceland.
Yeah. And I think all of us at that time were, like, not doing dairy, so it was
Exactly.
a big... that was all...
That's kind of all there was.
Yeah.
Cheese and more cheese and skyr.
Yeah. And ice cream.
Yeah, and then remember in Victor we had, it was like the bear thing.
Yeah.
We borrowed bear spray from Aaron's husband.
Yeah. And there were 4 of us on that hike, so only one of us had the bear spray, but we were all so excited about what, you collected 9 flowers on that hike, so
Yeah,
there were
insane.
so many wildflowers on that hike, and we're all going a little crazy, so we all kind of, like, scatter, but then, oh, I don't hear anybody anymore. And, of course, you're not going to hear a bear really sneaking up on you, but we braved it.
Bears, snakes, ticks, spiders, centipedes, large grasshoppers as big as birds.
Yeah.
Remember that one in our room?
Yeah.
We just left him there.
You can stay.
Yeah, I mean, like, last night was a classic example of, you know, it's like, it's such a beautiful process, and yet, like, there's, you know, it can be challenging, just in terms of, I mean, it's fine, but it's, you know, you arrive, and after this really long flight, you're in another country, you're navigating in a place that's almost you're not almost able to navigate in it. There's, what, 2 Calle 17A,
Yeah.
2 17A streets. We go to the wrong place. We're totally in the ghetto. We end up going through some really interesting neighborhoods.
Yeah. And then we get to where we're going, and there's tons of parking on the street by where our Airbnb is. But apparently you're not supposed to park on the street because you'll go up. Yeah.
It's
Like,
super dangerous, and someone will either break into your car, or smash your window, or steal your car.
yeah.
And so then we had to find a parking lot.
And there's someone we felt like someone was watching us, or, you know, we go to open up the lockbox and have to, like, cover it.
And we haven't eaten since we left Phoenix,
Yeah.
and it's like 10
Can't
or
get
11
the
hours with the
locks to work.
But that's right. Oh my gosh.
It's like,
And then it's like, oh no, it's 10:30 at night. We need to eat dinner, and it's 10:30, and everywhere's closed. And luckily, we found a very nice bar that
yeah.
had food, but yeah, it can get a little intense. But I think that's part of the magic. I mean, people might say, well, maybe you need to organize your trips a little bit better. But that's kind of the magic, right?
Yeah.
Is we'll have these, like, destination points, these little dots where we know we need to end up in this country, and we need to end up in this particular Airbnb on this day or this place. But there's a certain amount of flexibility because we're working on a different timeline in
Yeah.
some ways open to Mother Nature experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens after the trip? After this, we have to do the identification and the Latin names and the botanical understanding of what the plants are. Are they poisonous or not? Historical information, research, typing up all of our field notes, looking at the photography, cutting out images, making labels, audio, video clips, having people take the flower essences and record what happens. There's a lot that goes into the whole process of making a flower essence available for people after we've collected it.
Yeah.
Where are we going next?
Where do you want to go?
We've been really into hot spring rivers and hot springs and waterfalls, and lately really into orchids too.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of hard to find. A little challenge element.
Mm-hmm.
We climbed a tree today to try to reach this really beautiful orchid, but it was just a little too far out of reach.
Yeah.
Really funny.
Yeah.
In an area where there was lots of wildlife trails and signs on the road with tapirs? Anteaters?
Yeah. I still don't know what that animal was, but crossings. So funny.
We saw some amazing flowers on the way in to where we're at right now, and so tomorrow we're hoping to make some amazing flower essences to bring home. And we're really, really excited because there is an event in February, on February 13th in New York City. We're having another flower lounge, and we're bringing the orchid essences that we collected from our recent Costa Rica trip into some really brand new experiences for people. It's going to be the best flower lounge we've ever done.
Totally. I'm so excited for it.
And the flower essences actually that we collected in Costa Rica, we met up with 3 other women and then had this sort of accelerated week of retreat, and we moved through these orchid essences. And so these are the essences that we're going to use for the lounge.
Yeah.
And those women that were there with us are helping to facilitate. Morgan Farley, who is a poet and a story whisperer, and Robin Sandomierski, who's a luminary intuitive, and Linda Singh, who is an incredible dancer and movement magician. So if you're anywhere on the East Coast or anywhere that you'd like to take a trip to New York and visit friends or quick flight, highly recommend it. February 13th. Anything you want to say?
I'm excited to share those with more people.
Why are you excited?
Because they're really powerful. And I think each one of us who has experienced them have some crazy stories, and whether, very personal, but really opened you up in ways that you don't get challenged to be opened up in other, or in normal life.
Mm-hmm.
They're really rare, really special.
Yes, so join us at the Flower Lounge in New York, and hopefully other locations coming near you soon. Thank you so much for listening to the Flower Lounge. We love you. Love from Costa Rica.
Thank you so much for listening to The Flower Lounge. I'm Katie Hess, and we'll be releasing a new podcast every Wednesday. If you like what you heard, or you know someone who might be touched by our conversation, share it with them, and don't forget to subscribe. To find out what your favorite flowers mean about you, take the quiz at LOTUSWEI.com.